Welcome, everyone. I'm Roseanne Hanson, and this is Around the World in 80 Animals. This is session 4. I can't believe it's session 4 already. And this is part 1 of Africa. So this is going to be very challenging. Exercise your fingers and get your brain kind of just take a deep breath, because what we're going to be doing, remember, we're not being scientific illustrators. What we're doing is learning to quickly capture the essence of the critters, do as good a job as we can on proportions. I'll show you tips along the way, and get down some facts and learn something. And we have about 15 minutes per animal. And so we'll get started in just a moment. All right, Around the World in 80 Animals. Africa, part 1. As I said, I'm Roseanne Hanson. And I've run lots of these since COVID, these online free workshops. This is really fun. I'm the author of Nature Journaling for a Wild Life and Master of Field Arts. And so you can check out tons of free resources on my website at exploringoverland.com, and lots of other things my husband and I are up to in adventure travel as well. All right, we're going to start in the south, and this will be a little bit of a surprise, but this is a very famous animal down in southern Africa. Yes, indeed, the great white shark. And I specifically chose an image that was not the, big leaping at you, kill you. In fact, I wanted to find one. This looks like a friendly, happy shark. And I think that that's really, really sweet. So because attacks on humans are very rare. They're fewer than 10 times a year globally. So these are common creatures, the great white shark, off South Africa, and their range is global at temperatures between, 54 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. In this genus, females are larger than the males, and they get huge. Think of the size of a full-size Ford truck, about 4,000 pounds or so, and as much as, maybe 19 feet long. Really quite big, and they live a long time and are slow to maturity. So similar to humans, they don't start reproducing until their teens or later. And they predate pinnipeds, marine mammals, dolphins, and the only predator that can tackle them is the orca. All right. Oops, let's get back to here. Now I have prepared, I'm not using an accordion this time. I switched to using my pages. I've quick sketched in a pencil map of Africa, and I'll be putting the locations there. So let's switch to a virgin page here and tackle the great white shark. I'll make sure that I've got this exposed so you can see. And everybody, please make sure you're muted. I do hear someone is not muted, and I'm unable to mute them. So
We know each other.
yeah, let's see. Let me see if I can mute. No, I really can't do the controls from here. So everybody, please check your mutes. Thank you.
Roseanne, I'll take care of it. Santa Maria.
Okay, you
I'll
can
kind of
just
watch
hit
over it.
mute.
If you hear something, yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, so what we want to do is get the basic shape down. And I'm going to be using pencil and probably scribing a lot harder than I normally would, so you can see it. So what I'm going to do is first, I'm going to get the length penciled in. I'm doing it fairly lightly now. This kind of bullet shape on one end, just so I can get the proportions. And what you want to do is, let's look at how wide, and let me turn my camera on real quick so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to hold up my pencil and go, okay, I'm measuring the width. Actually, let's say the height from the belly to the back is yay, like I'm marking it literally like that. And now I can see 1, 2. So it's 2 to 1. So when I go back to my sketch here, I want to make sure that I make the belly 1, 2. That was just about perfect. So that height was really good. So I can be more confident about that line now, coming down, get that snoot there, the belly, bring it down. And the animal has there, it's kind of closed at the end of there. And so we've got the belly. We can come in and let's get that mouth placed, because that's going to really be an important. I'm going to leave that for the moment. And then the fin here is, we're looking at it straight on. I'm ignoring all the little fishies around. But the fin is going to start, let's say, right about there. And it comes out just about there. And we would just want to leave that. And then you can't, we're going to use the this graphic here that shows the relative size to the human to note there's the white underbelly, and you can see it here, even though the exposure, of course, is very blue. We want to mark that because that's an important physical characteristic. And so it comes up the snoot like this, and it's kind of raggedy. And I'm making a raggedy line, and it crosses under and then goes, you can see it there, it's going to go into the fin at the tail at the back. And so let's get that tail at the back drawn. It kind of has a bloop, a little swoop, and then it comes up. And so the white continues into the tail. And I'll clean up some of these extra lines before I hit some watercolor. So the white goes into the tail here. And in this one, it looks like it goes up a little bit. And I'm sure it varies per individual. And then we want to mark the this fin here. Which is on the other side. So it's kind of like this. And then let's make sure that eye placement's super important. It's much higher up than we think. And it's kind of on a ridge. There's kind of a bony ridge there. And then we've got, don't forget to leave in some teeth here. And that kind of cheek pouch. And there's some nostril there. And I think we're going to, oh, forgot that the dorsal fin. Just kind of that famous, right, shark fin. Ooh. Who else is hearing Jaws music? Okay, and then I'm going to zoom here so you can see it's marked here on the graphic really well, but you've got the gills here. So let's be sure to mark the gills. Okay. And let's get some facts in here. So first we want to make sure we name our little guy, big guy. So this is our great white shark. I'm going to put mine up here. So this is number 1. These are fun. And, feel free to draw in some fishies if you want. And let's see if I can fit in. Ooh, that's a long genus and species. So I might have to put that. I'm going to have to split it here. So I'd never really looked at that one up before. Carodon, probably. And then I'm going to split it over here. Cartarius. Okay. And we might put up to 19 feet and around 4,000 pounds. That females are larger and they predate marine mammals. And maybe attacks on humans are rare. All right. So I'm going to reduce some of my scritches here so I can throw in some watercolor without having it muddy too much. I want to make sure I reserve the white teeth. So one of the things I might do later is come back with a pen and darken around that. So what I'm going to do, I want to make sure I reserve the white underbelly. And let's just throw in some blue-gray on the top. And, maybe you'll put some blue-gray, some blue water around it. But let's make some, let's see. Let's make some blue-gray. Okay. And this is the line is kind of raggedy here. And so this fin is also going to be the darker. And you might color that one even darker after this dries, because the shadow there, light coming from the top. And I'll want to get this other fin here marked better with a dark once that dries. So we don't want to go in and mess with that too much until it dries. So I can get a nice undershadow on that. All right. How are we doing? Not bad on time. So you see, I darkened that a bit because that's in shadow. And we can probably, to give him let's call it her, some definition, we're going to do just a little bit of shadow here. And I want to pull that up. That was a little more staining than I usually like. And if you have some tissue, you can use that to blob it out, just to sort of give it shape, to show it's not just a flat animal. And if I had had some more kind of thought about it a little more, I probably would have added a white highlight here, since the sun would be coming here. But I think that's splitting hairs a bit, so we're fine for just, our journaling. We're not scientific illustrators here, remember? We're having fun. All right, we're going to let this dry now and move on, because can't really do a whole lot more. I mean, you could do some pelagic water around if you wanted, give it a little more definition, but I think right now I'm happy to wait. There we go. Fun. Makes it's time to move on. And where are we going next? All right, we are going, just a little bit north. Still in the savannas. Oh my goodness, look at this. One of my favorite cats in Africa. This is the caracal, and just a beautiful, beautiful cat. It's a mid-sized cat. Actually, let me spool that back in. It's not very tall. Not very big. It's only about 20 inches tall and only about 18 to 40 pounds. So, I know some house cats that are 18 pounds, but still really, really successful predator at the mesopredator level. And the name comes from karakulak, meaning black ear in Turkish. It's very widely distributed south of the Sahara, but it's rare in North Africa, and does show up in parts of Asia. And it is endangered there. And it prefers the dry savannas, and it is typically a nocturnal hunter. And like all the cats but the lions, solitary, and the female raises the young. So let's get a sketch going of this beautiful cat. Keeps, there we go. And where are we going to put this one? I think we'll put the caracal down here. Pencil. Take your pick which one you want to sketch. I think I'm going to go for the whole critter standing. It's a little more of a, well, both are pretty challenging. These are not easy critters, so give yourself plenty of permission to just try. I'm going to start here with where I'm going to place the head. I'm just making a line there, and here's my where the feet are going to go. And what you want to do is, right now, again, you can see me here. I'm going to check proportions using the thumb, because I'm going to go from the top of the head to the bottom of the foot. And then I'm going to notice that measurement is the same in the aspect this cat standing here, from his butt to the edge of his head. So basically, if I go here and I measure, okay, that's how long it is from the top of his head, not his ears, to his foot, then I'm going to need to make sure that the edge of that head, this is how far out I want to make his rear end go. So here's my rear end. So now what I want to do is just start blocking in some very rough shapes. Okay, so let's just get this rear end going. So there's his buttski there, right? So let's not worry too much about total details, but okay. And then this, look at that tummy. Okay, there's that tummy coming up. We're coming over here. Let's get the head roughed in. Now, kind of a pinhead like a lot of cats, except the lions. So I don't want a huge head on this one. So I'm measuring again. The head is about as wide as the cat is, at least in this aspect. We don't want to make the head any wider than that butt area. So this approximately the whole width of its head. So I was making it a little too pinheady. There. And remember that, they have the cat face coming in there. And we're gonna keep feeling this out. Let's bring this down. And there's a kind of a triangle shape where the elbow or what have you is here. This is a strange little, the way it's standing is a little odd. Twisting back to look at the photographer, I think. And we've got this line helps us find the shoulder blade here. And this helps us keep feeling the shape as it comes down. And you can feel free to, correct if you're not happy with the lines, the way they're flowing. And here's our button. And I think what will help here is, let's get the tail. And the reason I'm doing that is because that will help me place some other things. Because we want to, it's strange aspect here. That's okay. Because this, you want to give enough room here for that haunch. And then the shape of this rear foot's really important here. There we go. And then we're going to kind of have the other foots hidden by the tail a little bit. So it's going to come down. And that paunch showing through is kind of cute, isn't it? The white tummy. Wonder if it had just eaten. And then this foot is stepping forward. Go ahead and just, make little shapes for the feet. That's okay. Gotta have more of a little hump up here. You see, we don't have so strange of a, there we go. That helps a little bit there. Now, let's look at that face here. We've got quite strong quite strong markings on the sides of its cheeks. And let's get that nose placed. These cats have fairly big noses for the size, taking up quite a bit on their face. And these cats always have pretty strong whisker freckles. So you can see those whiskers coming out. That helps us a lot. And then let's get that broad nose etched in just a little bit and strong eyes. Oops. It's a little awkward drawing at an angle that you can see here, but let's get those eyes in. And then the most important thing, I think that's a little too close together, but I can fix that in a moment, is to get these ears. They're fairly widely spaced, so watch your proportions. And check the proportions again. Okay, that ear is the same height as the width of the head. So almost. There's a little bit more. We get these tufts. And get those inner bits. Get that strong, like so many of these cats, that M marking, or even our little house kitties have that. So getting that in there, and let's get some these eyes. I don't want to overwork the eyes. So just a few other, let's get some, define this, and then we're going to drop into some color. All right. Because he was twisting around, we have a strong line there. And we've got some belly fuzz. And I want to remind myself here. I think I won't try to show the white on the butt. It's just going to look really weird. Sometimes you have to do those edits to, because it just looks too weird. Go ahead and make an executive decision not to try to add it, because it'll just be strange. This isn't a scientific illustration. All right, I'm going to stop kind of noodling on that too much. We don't get a lot of detail on the feet on this one. So I'm not going to throw any more in there. And this got a little awkward there, so I think I'll smooth it out there. Okay, now where am I? Let's get that beautiful color down. I don't want to lose too much detail there, but I'm going to erase just a little bit. Okay, where am I? Beautiful color. I'm going to use the burnt sienna, I think. I use just these limited palette colors, which I do list on my website. I don't have a lot to play with here in terms of leaving on the paleness on the face. It's not a big surface area, so I'm going to be careful. I might have to come back with gouache to augment that, because yeah, this is not a huge drawing. And to show some of the whites, I might accidentally lose them now. I'm also going to put some clear here so we leave reserve some of the white. So get your body damp here so we can more easily reserve the lighter bits. So here I am coming in. This paper I'm not thrilled with on this side. You know how some watercolor papers have very different textures on one side versus the other, and this I'm on the much smoother side, so I'm not getting a really nice flow as I would with a very textured paper, which would be a lot easier on this critter. I'm going pretty pale because you can always add color, but it's harder to take it away if you mess up. There, I managed to maybe reserve a little bit of the white butt. It doesn't look too weird. But, you know, at the beginning stages of watercolor, it often looks not great because you're starting out with the lighter and you have to build up. And that's what I'm doing now. So he's got this white around, or whitish buff around the eyes and face. So that I'm going to have to come back with probably a gel pen, because that's just going to be too hard to do at this scale. Yeah, those eyebrows. And you know, he's got like a little bit of brown here. Oops, and I just made a blork. And we can come back and later and add some of these little dark dots. And then what I'm going to want to do is enhance the dark to show that shoulder a little bit better, and these areas here. But let's let that dry because it's getting a little too wet here. And I'll be able to come back and do a lot more with that in a bit. And probably just before I go, I'm just going to do a little tiny wash in the ears, just a little. Okay. And he has really golden eyes, so how can I get that in there with maybe barely touch a little yellow. Ooh. There we go. You can actually see it pretty well in the, that did work. It's not resolving, but there is some good yellow in there. All right, well, let's see, how are we doing? Not bad. I might even extend his ear tufts a little bit with a pen or even the pencil. They're pretty tufty. That's better. That's more caracolly. Okay, let's move on. Where are we going next? We are, oops, gonna hop northish a bit. And who do we have? Aha. This is a very cool animal. It is the giant pangolin, Smutsia gigantea. And this is an endangered mammal in the order Pholidota. And it is the largest pangolin in the world. They are getting highly endangered because they are hunted for their scales for Chinese medicine and also for meat, for bushmeat. And they're so easy for humans to catch. This particular species is in the Central and East African region. The males are larger, between 60 to 88 pounds average for the species, or a range, I should say, and the males are on the bigger end. They eat ants and termites, so they have strong claws that they use to rip apart the termite mounds and ant mounds. Very nocturnal, and the famous pangolin posture, curled up into a ball, those keratin scales protecting its soft underbelly, so it's harder for animals like lions to make a snack out of them. So this says, for some reason, it will not recognize my escape key until I touch the screen. Well, so I'm getting this focus to come on a little bit better. There we go. Okay, we'll come back to Mr. Caracol or Ms. Caracol. So the pangolin, we got to get these proportions right. All right, important. So I want to do like a quick sketch of both postures, both the the curled up one. So I'm going to place that, just a small representation, just a place marker to remind me, okay, I'm going to put the curled up one here, and then I'm going to mark the end of the tail and the nose here, right? So make your dots. Now let's measure. What do you think? I think that tail is the same length as the body. So mark it, and to the edge of the snout, indeed. The tail is half the body. So what we want to make sure we do, if here's the center part, the back, then this is the tail coming down. Up here. That's just about where it should go. And then the rest of it is this chunky body. So go ahead and do a kind of I'm marking it with a bit of a circle, kind of, think all the organs and everything in there. And then there's kind of a triangle, modified triangle for the head end. I went a little bit beyond my mark because I think I had my scale off just a little bit. So make just make a rectangle for reminding you where that leg is. Another rectangle here. Don't worry about details yet. There's a triangle here. And get that negative space there is pretty important. So actually this is more like this. So that I'm looking at the space created by the body and the next leg. So it's a little bit more like that. There, we're coming, here's the chin-ish, little pinhead. Just keep feeling out the body here. Is that right? Seems about right. Here's the eye way down here. And there's kind of the scales kind of make a cap around his eye like so. So he's got this little schnoz, little nostrils. Okay. And this big fat body. Now, I'm not going to have time during this session to draw every single scale here, and you will want to. I mean, it's just impossible not to get obsessed by wanting to. So do your best. Right now, I am wanting to just do some approximations. I'm not going to try to draw all these. Just give yourself permission to say, oh my gosh, okay. Notice how they get bigger toward the tail, a little broader, but take some time later and study these and how they are laying. I'm just marking these now, and I want to go back later and really get to know this animal's scales, because it's really interesting how they work. I think that's really cool, and that's why we say we're drawing to learn about these animals. And then you notice you can mimic, you can see how it's probably in cross section, the tail is a U shape because you can see the shadow and of the other side here. So when it rolls into the ball, it's it more easily turns into that ball. I have to erase here. I shouldn't have sketched that all the way across. So you've got your scales. So just get your approximations here so you can come back and do a better job on your scales in a bit. But it'll be really easy to get into the weeds on this, and we could spend hours and hours just on the scales, of course. But that gives us a good idea of the shape of this animal, and you'll want to go in and work on those scales. And it's really interesting. Notice the direction these take. And then when you do when it's curled up into defensive, you've got basically two parts. You've got, this is the tail coming around here. You'll see that like there. But then this is where the body comes in. And there it tucks in, you can see. So when you draw that, you're going to want to really pay attention to these beautiful scales, which have kind of patterns on them. And how many are there? Is it 3 across? Is it 4 across? How do they fit together? I'm doing a pretty thorough job right here looking, and so I'm noticing a lot. So you would want to keep on just slowly going back, adding your scale and its companion scales, and you really start to understand how the sky's put together. Really interesting. So you see how that works. And I completely forgot to write anything on the caracol, right? I got completely absorbed in doing the colors, so I'm going to remember now. So this was number 2, the caracol. I'm writing really quick. Okay, little cheater there. And then this is number 3. This is our giant pangolin. And don't forget to do some measurements. So I didn't put the height on this, but I can definitely put up here. It's like 60 to, let's say 80 pounds average or range. And, on the caracol, I should indicate the height. Remember, they were, I think, 20 inches. Is that right? So almost 2 feet. Whoa. You could put 20 inches there. Okay, and back to the pangolin. Like I said, don't worry about getting deep into exact scales on this guy right now. Worry about, you can do some more studies on this and just get your shape right now. And then you can have fun at your leisure later, doing the scales. So it's critically endangered. Harvested for Chinese medicine. And like I said, these are some hard animals. When I went back to look at them, I was like, oh my gosh, these are all going to be quite a challenge. And eats ants. And termites.
Roseanne, I have a quick question before we go to the next animal. I'm wondering if you could put up the photographs for the first couple of guys we did, just for a second.
When I hit play, I can go back. Yes, right now I can't move the screen, but I think we're
Okay.
good. We're going to lay some initial washes for this guy, and then we can go back. Yeah, unfortunately, the way this is set up, I can't flip slides while it's in this position.
I understand. Thank
Yeah,
you. Just when
no
you can would
worries.
be awesome.
Yeah. And don't forget, everybody, all of these will be on the website. And you can flip through at leisure in the recording to go back as well. So I'm just mixing some kind of brown gray here. I want to wash. I'm going to leave it pretty raggedy. I want some dry brushy, because then I can go in and add some more color later to enhance, but he's kind of dirt colored. And this one appears to be more, has more of the russet, which I'm not going to color yet because I'm going to do some more detail before I throw in color on that. And we can come back. You can do things like, it's just a little bit of the blue gray, which I'm making right there. You can touch some scale, get that scale look like that. Was a quick way to get some definition. So I'll have time later, if I was in the field, I would this is about basically what I would do. And then later in camp or what have you, I could go back and do my details. That's why you want to take good notes and note things that you're noticing, say it out loud, write it down. Things like underside. So here we might put, you notice that the underside is concave. And we'll make sure we go back and enhance that. So when we get back from the field or at camp, we can note that for sure. So if I go back up here, and so we did our pangolin, we did our caracal. If you want to do screen captures, that's great. And our shark. So we have to keep moving though, because we're only a few in and we've got to keep moving. Okay, where are we going next?
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You bet. Right, we're sticking toward the south here, and one of the iconic animals of Africa. And when I chose this, I was like, oh, fun, I love these guys. And I thought, oh my God, they're so hard to draw. Perfect practice, because they really are hard to draw. There are so many subspecies of giraffes, and in fact, they're looking at the some DNA studies are showing they're actually probably going to be splitting them into species. They're that far distinct, and very much their pelts, their spots are very different. So this is the southern savanna giraffe, Giraffa angolensis. And so all the giraffes are the tallest living terrestrial animal and the largest ruminant on Earth. So they're 14 to 19 feet tall. Those iconic horn-like structures on their heads are called ossicones. Both males and females have them. They're not positive what they're used for, possibly thermoregulation, and maybe used when the males do combat with their necks. They try to kind of force each other around with their necks, kind of neck wrestling. These guys are in Namibia, Zambia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, and Angola. They're back in Angola. They were gone because of conflict for so long. And their blotches have notched edges and angular extensions. They're more irregular than most other giraffes. And giraffes eat leaves, fruits, flowers of woody plants, and mostly acacia. And it's not that they have any extra cervical vertebrae. It's just that they're super long, 11 inches long. So super cool. There we go. And I'm going to have to fit my giraffe in here. So you can have fun, just do the head and maybe just the structure of its body to get the proportions right. And what's interesting is looking at the proportions. If you measure from, say, the ear to the shoulder, it is exactly, the neck is as long as it is from the shoulder to the ground. So if you were doing, say, we are doing our giraffe here, you want to have, okay, if this is the top of the head, and this is I'm going to move it over just a little bit. If this is the top of the head here, and let's just do a triangle for the face, just to mark, right? Then that neck, if I bring it down, like so, and there's, let's say, okay, I'm estimating now, that's where my shoulder is going to be to get my proportions right. And this can be a small sketch. I'm not going to do a lot of detail here. That's how long it's going to be to its foot on the ground right there. So that is how you make sure your proportions are right when you're creating these. So one kind of just sketching a little triangle here. And then note you've got this shoulder shape, or excuse me, the kind of it's kind of the front of the arm, if you will, because this is the top of the shoulder blades on the other, or not shoulder blades, but kind of the back there. I misspoke. And then You've got shape coming down here and really quite thin legs for the proportion of the animal. And then little delicate black feet. Okay, so now you want, let's just do another shape here. Just feel this out. They are a little pinheady for the body. Here's the other hip, if you will. Another triangle coming down. Whoop, sorry about that. Get something out of the way. And get that other shape. Now notice the gait of the giraffe. Notice it's walking with both legs on one side forward and then the other side back. That is a really cool gait. I didn't quite get this leg right, did I? This should have been out more like this, and this is the other leg coming down, and here's the other leg. Just to get the rough shape. So you see how I corrected myself here? I committed to that a little early. All right. And, you know, be forgiving. These are really tough. This is not easy. Just get your shapes in as best you can. We can make corrections, but you see, this is not bad in terms of proportions. This rump coming in, okay, that's good. This leg, and it's extending because he's taking quite a step there. He's moving across the road. Okay, and that tail is his tail's kind of blowing out, kind of funny, but they have these little short bushy tails. And then let's get that neck. Remember, there's a lot of width, and then it gets quite thin. Now we're going to work on filling in the shape of the head. So we've got your triangle, big kind of spatulate lips. Bring that up. You've got their eyes really bulge out. Get those ears placed. And then we'll make sure we get the ossicones in. So draw kind of two triangles, and then we'll open up the tops a little bit, like that. Like so. And make sure that there's kind of a width at the bottom. They're kind of wide at the bottom, and then they've got this kind of hairy bits going on there. And then they've got these beautiful kind of eyelashes, really lovely eyes. Narrow face. There. Got the nose, don't forget the, there. I'm not going to do a ton of other details. He's got don't forget to mark the mane. And then you can have a lot of fun with the, with filling in the spots. And so what you want to do with the spots, I find it's easiest to let's see, how does he look? You know, I think the legs are almost a little too short. Isn't that funny? Let me measure that again, see what I did wrong. There, yep. No, that's not quite right. From there, oh, to the shoulder, or to the top of the back. Interesting. I got the proportions a bit off. Or maybe I think maybe I'm just being a little too critical. Yeah, let's see what happens when we fill in the spots. So what you want to do is start with a point on the body. And one good spot to start, haha, pun intended, is right here at the under the arm, and draw your first shape. And then draw the one on top of that. And start getting and then draw the next one. And they stack together to create the patterns and so on. So you can fairly quickly get a good feel for how they come together to create the giraffe pattern. So you want to play with that and get that sketched in if you want to go full on and get your giraffe thing going. Now with this species, notice how the spots get smaller at the extremities, at the rump, at the neck. They're a little squared off, little angular, and they have little extensions. So keep that in mind. I'm just really quickly trying not to obsess too much on, oh my gosh, they have to be perfect, right? I just want to get a giraffe look going here. So you can see how that fills in. Being pretty light, and again, see how they get smaller on the rear leg. In fact, they just kind of disappear down the leg a little bit. Yeah, so you can get a pretty quick giraffe look without too much. Look at how big they are on the shoulder here. And then getting smaller, 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 smaller. Nice. So clearly that's a giraffe with the giraffe spot. Okay. Try not to obsess, but I am, aren't I? Nice. Okay. He's crossing a road. So I'm not going to put in any graphs, but let's get his name properly down. This is number 4. This is our southern savanna giraffe. And they are, so giraffes are the tallest terrestrial animal. And largest ruminant. And these, the horns are called, we'll put this in, called ossicones. And you can put possibly used for thermoregulation. Go and fix his ears. And we can, I mean, giraffe's pretty easy to color in. you would just want to start getting your spots in. There's a nice long mane there. So we would just want to go in, spend our time filling in. Might take a couple of passes to get your spots in. Get those ossicones. Notice how I'm, leaving some of the white. There. And I'm not being real precious about coloring in the lines right now. I can come back and enhance, darken a few, but right now I'm just wanting to get the essence of giraffe, which I think we're doing pretty well. There. These got a little darker, so I'm going to want to go in and enhance more after it dries, where it's like, oh, that was too light. I can lift if it's too dark. Those will dry a little lighter. So, but let's move along. We're on number 4, so we have 4 more to do. We're not doing too badly on time. These are very difficult animals, so give yourself permission to keep playing around. Don't forget to get this forward part of the giraffe's upper arms are really important for, this is kind of the shoulder, and I don't know if you would call those what would you call that? It looks like kind of a clavicle, but I'm not sure that's what it's called, but be sure to get that in on your drawing. But now we're moving on, still in the same region, very much the savannas, and this is a super cool species. This is the sociable weaver. Really cool. It's endemic to Southern Africa, and they build these massive compound community nests. That means hundreds of birds are in here, up to 100 pairs they've counted, in their own separate chambers, sharing this communal area. It's a big apartment building, better for protection from predators. They don't have to do as much work, and since this is in the hot part of the African savannas, the insides stay really cool. I got that backwards. The insides are much warmer when it's cool at night, but they're also cool during the day when it's really, really hot. And then they have shaded areas on the outside that they can hang out in as well. They don't have to be all the way inside. So it's like this massive community complex. Interesting, they are also assistive breeders. They non-related individuals will actually help rear young of other pairs. So including, and also siblings will help raise each other's young. But the most interesting thing is that if they're unrelated, they still help others raise their young. So it's a big communal society. And they're not sexually dimorphic. So the males and females look the same. So choose what you're going to sketch. I think it would be fun to, well, you want to get in you got to get the tree kind of and the proportion of the size of that nest. So let's do a quick, get that tree. And just real quickly, don't worry about, perfect tree too much, right? Just, we want to show what this is. So I'm doing my tree approximation here. Remember, we're field sketching. then we want to show, so here's maybe a branch that comes here. This massive nest is kind of anchored here and comes out like so. And these are all woven grasses. These are weavers. And if you look up, we took the photos in Namibia. If you look up, you can see the chambers. So the photo in the middle is showing the entrance chambers to the chambers down. And so you put the human in there to show scale. So let's see, we've got your little human here. And that helps us go, oh my gosh, look at that. It's amazing. And then if we want, we can draw our beautiful weaver. And don't let me forget to write the name. I always get way involved here. So you've got your general shape here. I'm just going to very lightly get your shapes in. Get your that weaver, the finch weaver bill is quite substantial. So
Do they reuse the nests year after year? That tree
yes,
look winter, like is it in the winter, that tree, or is it a dead tree, or?
it's not a dead tree. It does not have, it's just getting its leaves for the season. We were there
Okay.
at the beginning of at the end of winter.
So is it the same colony, I wonder, that reuses the
Yes,
nest?
correct. Yep, they just reuse it every year.
Oh,
Fascinating. Isn't that fascinating?
yes.
So less work. Interestingly, it is not completely immune to predation. So especially cobras and other snakes will get up in there and they can really clean out the colony, the eggs as it were. But other than that, because there's so many together, that does tend to help protect, at least some will survive. Just getting some the shapes here. This beautiful mask is reminiscent to me of the Abert's Towie here. The dark mask. And they have beautiful, just beautiful markings on the edged, the dark feathers with the light edges are just beautiful. So you might want to indicate that just a little bit if you can. So we've got our just trying to get approximation. I can't, this is a quick sketch. We're not trying to do a scientific illustration. It's really tough. I know those of us who suffer from like everything has to be perfect syndrome. Just get your main elements in, get your proportions right, and then you can go in and get your details, but don't get too far into the weeds.
Roseanne, do you know what kind of a tree they build the nest on?
It can be any tree. These I can't remember what species. That is no doubt an acacia there, but they do it on telephone poles in urban areas. They so pretty much any straight structure. Let's see, I want to get this. So I'm just want to mark the branch here. I'm not going to get too detailed, but we've got his leg coming out. And what you want to do, I tend to just give myself a marker of where I'm going to work on the detail of the feet, which take a long time to get right. You want to make sure that they're well positioned. I need a little more space here. So that just tells me this is where I need to work on those details that I'm going to come back and do as I have more time. I'm just kind of getting a bit too much in the weeds and the details here. I think I'm going to leave his tail off for now, just because I don't have time to do all of that. But I want to get some notes in, especially this wonderful. So this is species 5, yeah. So this is our sociable weaver. And this is Violeteris, Socius. Nice. And communal nests, communal compound nests. House up to 100 pairs. And they cooperatively care for young. Which is fascinating. It's funny, we're just using the same colors over and over on all these species. I don't think I've even mixed any greens or anything. It's all this beautiful browns.
Probably camouflage
Exactly.
for all the brown surroundings, the
Yeah,
sand,
exactly.
desert.
Interesting. So I'm doing just a wetting now, so I can do a little bit of a wash. this will be some detail work. I want to come back with the pen and add details. But right now I just want this really pretty cinnamon wash. And well, here I finally get to kind of mix a different color. We'll get that dried grass color. Which is, I just take a yellow and then dull it up with the burnt sienna, the warm red, to get that dried grass color. Looks like there was some side entrances on this one too, so you could go in with your pen or a soluble graphite and add some of the entrances once this dries. Give that a little variation, and maybe it was just beginning to green up when we were there, so the tree was just getting little fuzzies. Oh, we better move along though. It's funny how little I can get done on the coloring when I really want to get more details in. But getting the proportions and the notes and everything, I think is really good. Give yourself permission to, like, oh wow, this is hard. So we want to learn how to sketch quickly. That's great. I was sitting there observing these wonderful birds, and I wanted to get the main details, and definitely want to show, the nest and the proportions of the person there. But we're going to move on. So we have 3 more species to do. And where are we? Okay, we're still staying pretty much south of the equator here, because we need to do one of the most important animals and one of the hardest ones to draw in Africa. This is our critically endangered black rhino. This particular subspecies, Diceros bicornis minor, is known as the South Central black rhino, native to Eastern and Southern Africa. And it's unfortunately in 2020, they figured there were about 3,000 mature individuals, but well, actually 4,000, but over the last 3 years, poaching has more than doubled. And so there's probably fewer than 3,000 left, maybe worse than that. These are not really big, so 4 to 5.9 feet tall, and say 1,700 to 3,000 pounds. It's kind of a myth that they have really bad eyesight. They can see about as well as a rabbit, and remember, they're on the sides of their heads, so like rabbits, they kind of have to look out of the, seeing straight on is not, they don't have the same vision we do, but they see pretty well. So they're herbivorous, they're browsers, they eat lots of leafy plants, legumes, fruits, grasses, small bushes, and the horns are keratin and used for defending territories. They're calves from other rhinos as well as predators. For maternal care, they use it to scoot their calves around, telling them where to go, and for foraging, so ripping up things to eat. And of course, they're killed for the horn, which is, again, Chinese medicine, which is making that very valuable. And the fewer there are in the wild, the more valuable it gets. So let's see, I'm gonna have to zoom out just a little bit. Don't have a ton of space here, but I think we can fit our rhino in here. Challenging to draw, definitely. So let's look at, I want to get those proportions right, but how do we even start? So what I would do is let's measure, let's go do the bottom of the foot here. Let's draw our, where it's standing. And let's do this foot here, the right front foot. And then I'm going to mark, okay, this is how tall it is for now. And I'm going to get that proportion. Okay, there, mark. And from the rearmost part of its butt to that edge of that shoulder is this edge of the front shoulder. So we've got the top of the back. First, I'm measuring up and down from the toe to the top of the back there, the highest point. And then from the butt up to the front part of that front leg is the same proportion. So in other words, if I were to measure this, so if that's the highest point of the back to there, then that front shoulder or the top of the leg here, this is where the butt needs to be for that part of the body. And then we're going to also measure, okay, how far out is the head from the same part is about half. Yeah. So if I go half of that and over, this is the edge where I want to put the lip somewhere in there. So those are my dots to kind of set me out there. So one of the things you might do, so if this is the top of that arm, draw a triangle for that leg. Just don't worry about anything but that initial shape now. Then we've got this, here's the butt is kind of in two parts. So you've got this smaller oval, and then it kind of, you've got the big belly. So just kind of give yourself a oval in here. We can work on these shapes individually. So there's that. Get that shape down. Feel that out. There's that up there. Coming down. You've got another big shape right here. Feel out the shape of the animal. Okay. You've got this deep fold in here, and that's okay. That looks good. And then this leg, give this, just do a little boxy shape, two parts. Their feet are really strange. They have like, I think it's, yeah, 3 toes. Ah, God, I need to double check. Really strange shape. Yeah, 3 toes throwing forward. So here's that belly. Let's give that. And see, we can commit to that. That's good. His elbows down. He's they have tiny little kind of slender legs there for such big animals. Okay, that's coming up. Now you've got the other leg coming up. All right. How's this? So we need to work a little bit on the shape here. Feel it out. Okay, that's feeling it. Don't get too obsessed here on perfection. We can work on details, get the kind of half moon foot there. There. Not bad. Now, here's the hard part. Okay, here's where we want to sort of end with the schnoz. So just start feeling this shape here, this kind of his big jaw up. You've got the shoulder coming in, big, massive. You've got, let's get that ear in there because that's really going to help us place. I'm just going to do a little messy bit there. I can refine that in a minute. Let's do our, see if we can get our horns placed here. Draw cones. One is slightly behind and shorter than the other. We've got his eye is just outside, just sort of go down the edge of that cone. It's very low down. And then you've got wrinkly bits here, such strange shapes. It's like, wow, this is just feeling really weird, but they are weird. Here's his nose. Here's the mouth on just underneath. You've got this is gonna have to fix that ear, but the placement's not bad. They're all raggedy. The head comes up here. You can see the other ear coming up there. And then this is kind of a concave bit there. That's not bad. I'm not unhappy with that. These are tough to draw. Got a lot of muscle in here. Got ribs and wrinkles showing. That's a really deep cleft there. And I think we're not too far off. I think that's good. Yeah, not bad. This is a fun one. So let's get, well, I'm going to refine this. I just realized I want a little bit more height and sharpness on that one. Okay. I don't want to kill this here. So this is number 6. This is our black rhino. Diceros, bicornus, 2-horn, minor, I think that was, right? Yeah. critically endangered. Sadly. So they are only 4 to 5.9 feet tall, but hefty, up to 3,000 pounds. And let's see what else. They are, the horns are keratin. Poached for Chinese medicine. All right. That's fun. Ray wash on this guy, but I'm going to leave that because I want to keep moving on. We've got 2 other fun species. I hope you were able to get the rhino. This is really a fun one and an important species. But this one's really cool. This is fun. Totally new animal to me. This is not a cat. It is a cat-like mammal, completely endemic to Madagascar, the island, and its largest mammalian predator on the island, the fossa, Cryptoprocta ferox. How cool is that? It is a carnivore, and as you can see, it has retractable claws. It is a great climber and a very strong hunter. It can take prey up to almost as big as it is. Lemurs, they hunt lemurs and other animals in the forests, and really, really cool animal. So let's get a sketch going. This is a fun one. I think what we'll do is, yeah, oh, and they're not very big, like 19 pounds. I mean, really, that's just crazy, but they are very successful predators. So it's the proportions we're after again. And what we want to do is mark, okay, if this is the rear end, and this is where we want maybe the nose to be. Let's kind of do some measuring here. Well, how long do we first instead of the nose, because we can put the head on later. Let's do where the front foot, that front of the front arm. Let's see what that proportion looks like. Okay, if I measure from its butt, like right at the base of the tail, to the front leading edge of the forearm, then its height is going, oops, I did that wrong. Okay, from there to there. All right, then from its toe to its shoulder is about 7/8 of that. That is one way to do the proportion. So if I measure from here to here, then from the base where I put that foot, and this is tricky, I want, oh, I totally botched that. Okay, measure again. Then I want about, nope, I've got too much. So I want to put that foot down here. So I'm going to do some preliminary placements here just to see if I've got this completely cattywampus. Get it? It's not a cat, but let's get that, see if I've completely botched it. Sometimes you just have to start laying in shapes to see where you're going to be. So this is if this is where that big shoulder group's gonna be, then this is where it's gonna come just above that. See how I have to keep modifying here. And then I'm going to just do a preliminary couple of shapes. And see how I'm doing. This is a tough one, so give yourself plenty of extra, like, oh, start again. Get your shapes. So that head is not right. I can just tell we need more neck. And just do a little boxy shape for the nose. See if we can get that ear placed. How does that look? Okay. That worked. So that's better. Kind of a pinnish head. Get this, remove some of this on the shoulder that I didn't get quite right. Swoop this reared in. And he's just kind of got this weird aspect on the rock here. So let's get this elbow down, give us a little bit more of the foot there so we can get a feel. Okay, that's good. And then his other, he's kind of crouching. Other leg. Strange angle here, and just sort of give yourself a place marker for that. And here's the rock. This is a hard one. I picked some hard ones for us. Just focus on shapes. Try not to think too hard about oh my gosh, And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the tail. I'm going to actually cheat on the tail and go ahead and pull it in here so we don't lose it. It's kind of thick at the base. So that's not bad, is it? Long, skinny guy. Powerful shoulders here. Nice. And you'll want to go in and we want to be sure to show those semi-retractable claws. when you color it in, because that's a important characteristic. So this is our, let's get some data in here. So this is number 7. This is the fossa, right? Isn't that a wonderful name? And that is Cryptoprocta. Ferox. Cool name. And so this is a cat-like mammal. In the Eupleridae family. And it's only 28 to 31 inches long. And let's just say 12 to 19 pounds. Oh my goodness. But a very, very strong hunter. Sweet. And here we go again with the browns. Gonna have to lay down a really pretty brown. So how do you make the prettiest brown is if you don't have, you know, a brown in your palette, if you mix all 3 of your primaries together, your cyan, your magenta, and your yellow, you get a beautiful brown. Need a little more water. Sometimes it takes a couple passes. There we go. So we can start laying down. I'm going to give that a little more magenta-y. I'm just going to do a preliminary wash, kind of rushing here. And I've ended up on the side of the paper that's kind of very thirsty and smooth, so makes your watercolor a little harder to do. See how it's really showing the pigment. I intentionally wanted kind of the rough edges at the top there to approximate kind of fluffy fur. Boy, look at how that texture that I'm getting. I can fix that after it dries. But that's just my preliminary wash. So we'll come back and fix him after it dries, but that's my preliminary wash. So you can see kind of how that goes. And I wanted to kind of show the model-y bits, but it's time for our final species. We didn't do too badly today. Let's see, this is a super fun one. And I cheated a little bit. Instead of saying south of the equator here, I couldn't wait on this one. I had to go to the north because this might be the funnest species ever. This is the world's smallest mammal. This is the Etruscan shrew. They are less than 1.5 inches in their little bodies and occur in North Africa as well as Southern Europe and parts of Asia. It is the smallest known mammal by mass. It weighs 0.063 ounces. That is just under 2 grams. And excluding the tail, like 1.5 inches. And eats 2 times its body weight per day. It's a voracious little predator. It eats vertebrates, invertebrates, even something as big as itself. And its heart beats 25 times a second. Think about that. That's incredible. The cubs are born naked and blind, and as they get older and need to move around the landscape, they form what's called a shrew train. Check this out. I hope this is playing properly. Can you guys see the video? So the babies.
Yep, we can see it.
Isn't that amazing? The babies take a hold of each other's butts right above their tail, chomp down, and then they follow mom in a shrew train. I think that's just about the most amazing thing. I couldn't stand it. I had to share that. So that is your shrew train for the day. And we are going to draw our little Etruscan shrew. You can draw the shrew train, you can draw the shrew. Both would be fun. I would be tempted to draw the scale here, you know, draw a ruler of you know, like, okay, here's 1 inch. And you know, here's a half, here's 2 inches. And then draw our little shrew here. Is, remember, his whole body just draw a shrew blob here just to get you going. And his little head is going to be here, and his schnoz like so. A little tiny slit for eye. I mean, they have eyes, but they're not like huge. And their little, very long nose and loads of, I mean, very fuzzy. So you want to show this fuzz. So let's see, his little arm, probably he's folded up here, but he would have his little fingers like this. And his ear. And loads of whiskers for sensing. Just, you know, all over his schnoz. And then lots of little guard hairs. And they have the little long tail. Cute. And then you could even draw the shrew train if you wanted, just to have some fun here. So let's see, draw one at the bottom first, little fat, like so. And then he's chomped onto the butt of his sibling who's up here. And here's his little nose, and he's chomped onto the butt of this one. And there's another one. And let's say this is mom. Oops. There. So then we have our little shrew train. Okay, this was fun, wasn't it? Let's get some data in here. Oh, I thought for a minute it had disappeared. So this is number 8. This is our Etruscan shrew. And that is Suncus etruscus. And so we can call this as a shrew train. Mom leading babies or young. And this is the world's smallest mammal by mass. And that is 0.063 ounces. And they're about 1.5 inches long. How cute is that? What fun. I love this. This is just too cute. And here, we just have to play it again because shrew trains. Can you imagine seeing that? It's just the cutest thing. That way, hopefully one doesn't fall off and they find their way to safety again. So there you can see more details. They're pale underneath. You don't see that in the other photos, so that's good. So we'll show that in our painting. We'll want to definitely show that kind of white underbelly and make a note on that. But we're coming to the end, so we actually made it this time, and that's because I did far less color than I usually do, and that really got me behind. Doing mammals is challenging. Hope if you enjoyed this, you will consider contributing to the tip jar. I'll put that link in the chat. That was so fun. Okay, I want to take time to share? So let me use the raise hand feature. If you want to just hold up and I'll spotlight people, it would be really fun to see. These were challenging. There's the tip jar. Oh, JJ, yay. Okay, let me spotlight you. Okay, great. There we go. Nice. Oh, look at you. Oh, well done. I just love it. So fun. I love how you layer. I wish I could kind of make myself do that. Fun. I love the giraffe treatment. Well done. And notice how JJ did not try to draw every scale on the pangolin. Yeah, I know. It's like, oh, I know when I go back, you guys, I'm going to be spending the rest of the afternoon like drawing every single scale because that's just what I would do. Well done. And of course, that looks like a pangolin. So thank you. Well done. Valerie, let's see. There you go. Okay, Valerie, you're up.
I got here late, so I didn't do the first one.
Oh, well done on the caracol. Nicely done. Oh, you're using your food day, right?
Yeah, I used my Fude pen until the Fude pen ran out of ink, and then I had to switch to a couple of different things. I've got
Nicely done.
a pen and a brush pen, but they're all running out of ink, so I had all kinds of pens.
I know. I hate it when it happens.
A cartoon pangolin, I decided to
Yep, I like that. Really
too
nice.
much details and just try to get the overall attitudes of them.
Yeah, nice proportions on the rhino. Well done. Oof, good job. Yep. So notice how she just tried to capture the essence of everything and didn't fuss around too much. Nicely done. And the fossa, great.
Using a really big, like a 1/2 inch flat watercolor brush. So
Oh, well done.
yeah, so it's this one, which is
All
very
right.
nice.
Nice.
It's a Da Vinci Casaneo travel brush.
Yeah, those are really inexpensive too, aren't they, comparatively for how nice they are?
Actually, the Casaneo ones are pretty pricey for a synthetic brush, but they're very nice.
okay.
Synthetic
Like-
squirrel. But they are some of the nicest synthetic brushes out there.
Great. Yep, I like those. Well done. Anyone else want to share what they've got? No? Okay, well, I know these were hard, weren't they? I was mean this time. I was reviewing them and I thought, oh, they're going to kill me. Well, nicely done, everyone. And I hope it was fun. I'm looking at the gallery. So send in your either post on the community forum, or I'll put all these links in the email, or send me and I'll put them on the website. I like to do that too. It's really fun to share what people have done, because everybody has a different style and it's really educational to see how everybody tackles these. So I'll spend the afternoon finishing mine up, probably doing some inking and filling in things. And you know, you can replay the shrew train as much as you want, which I found just incredibly adorable. Okay, everybody, have a wonderful weekend and happy Easter, everyone. Great. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Roseanne. It's great.
Thank you very much.
Have fun. Bye.